Hello, I'm Magda Nieszwiec, and this is Asian Movie Pool's interview. And today I'm here with Polen Ly, whose feature debut is screened at the CinemAsia Film Festival. So, what does it mean to you to premiere your first feature at Venice and now open it at the film festival at CinemAsia?
Well, I think it was an honor to have the film premiered in Venice last year. And I always dreamed to be in Venice because I never been there before during the festival. And but for me also, I feel quite intimate to come to present the film in Cinema Asia because somehow I feel like the festival represents this kind of communities, the sense of
Mm.
community of being like Asian, because I think in the Asian culture we like being together, we like sharing things. So I feel like to be here, it's almost like to share the film with the people that somehow share similar culture or background. But at the same time, I met a few um diaspora, like Asian diaspora who came here with their parents who used to escape from war or just migrate to here for work something, and it's somehow meaningful because they kept telling me that they were somehow grateful to see something happening in Cambodia at the present days. And as in Cambodian film industries, it's very small, and there have been a lot of films made about the past, about our genocide, but it's a little bit rare to have films to like that make about contemporary issues in Cambodia. Well, there were like a few great films like The White Beating, um, Diamond Island from Davi Chu also is there. So I'm somehow proud to be here and share the story from Cambodia, almost a country that nobody talks about or know.
Yeah, and your film is also produced by Anti-Archive, so I'm wondering how is working with them shape your approach as a filmmaker?
I'm grateful to be able to work with them because they create this kind of a community that encourage young filmmaker to express their voice. So, for example, in my experience, to work with Daniel Mates, my producer, he always protect my voice. And like my film, it still give a little bit kind of critique to the government, to some development project and so on. So it's not that easy to pass through the censorship and everything. But like Daniel Mates, David Chu, and the entire anti-archive team, they still like make sure that they're going to keep my voice to be heard, and I believe that this is very important. And for me also, as an independent filmmakers in Cambodia with a very small film scene, I feel like to be able to share this space with anti-archive somehow it's kind of warm for me also, and I believe that artists, filmmakers, we always needs our own pack to be together, to watch films, to to talk about it, discuss our ideas.
Yeah, and then your feature film, Becoming Human, is also rooted in the past, for instance, Golden Age of Cambodian cinema. So I'm curious if there was a specific film or image or story from that era that sparked this idea.
Hmm, I have to say that the idea of using the film reference in Becoming Human, it came later after I wrote the script for some time, because when I started to choose the vintage cinema as the main location of the film, I started to um, ask myself what is the character of that cinema, So for me, the main character of the cinema is the memory of the cinema. So I chose one film from the golden era of Cambodian cinema called On Oi Sray On, directed by Lee Bun Yim. That film was very famous, and I chose the film also because that film is kind of the connection of the memory of the old generation and the young generation. Because um, in my generation also we used to see some part of the film on TV, and we keep listening to the song from the film. So I feel like, oh, I chose that film because it is a beautiful bond to connect between two generations. So that's how I decided to use the film archive and song, the music for my film.
Mm.
Yeah.
And do you have maybe any favorite film from that age, the Golden Age, or is this one your favorite?
Yeah, I think On Us On was my favorite because it was it talked simply about the what to say, about a social gap at that time.
Mm.
It was a kind of classical film during that time, but see, it was about social gap between rich and poor, and of course, it's kind of typical film about rich and poor, like the rich fall in love with the poor, and then at the end, there's always the king who came up and broke them apart. But
Mm.
for me, I enjoy the storytelling, and what I knew, the director, he was also a doctor at that time. And for me, I used to be a medical school student, so I kind of had my own bias to like him. But no, the way he made film that I used to watch, he always had this kind of interesting idea to how to build the story together, the way he edit the film. And I know at that time, people didn't have much means for equipments or some modern thing compared to the Westerners at that time.
Mm. So if you were a medical student, how did you become a filmmaker? Like how did it happen?
I don't know. I mean, I grew up in countryside, and then when I graduated high school, I had to come to Phnom Penh city, and I think the city kind of spoiled me in a way.
Mm.
It allowed me to discover different things, and I remember I found this kind of store that always like sold the pirate DVD, for very cheap price. And in Phnom Penh, you could spend maybe like 25 cents or half a dollar to buy a DVD or to rent it. So, but in those pirate DVD store, you could find any film. And I remember I saw a lot of independent, especially like from the US or from European, and I was so shocked, and I can somehow discover the history of cinema through those pirate DVD. And like in Cambodia, in cinema or on television, they wouldn't play those kind of those independent films. So I appreciate in a way that I kind of discovered that kind of place, and
Yeah.
I one day decided to make film and start medical school.
Mm. So coming back to your film, maybe there's the idea of ghosts who resist reincarnation. So is that rooted in local belief system or?
I think there's a lot of layers with the character of Ghost in the film, but for me, the main core of the film that I use the ghost character. For me, it's not my purpose to make a film about ghosts at all. I don't want to fall into this kind of cliche point of view that, oh, Southeast Asian is all about ghost story. But my ghost in the film is more about that the philosophy of life in a way, like in Cambodian saying, we always say that living as a ghost, and it means that when you live as a ghost, it is this person that full of trauma and scare to open the door to the world again. And that I found that happened a lot to the generation, including my parents who went through the genocide, who receive a lot of pain from losing their family, their loved ones. And most of the time, people, they kind of living in their own bubble. They share, they didn't share much of the emotion or feeling with us as kids. So for me, sometimes I felt a little bit lost in a way. I didn't know how my parents feel or something like that. That's why I have this idea of using a character that embody this kind of fear, traumatic experience, and afraid of being reborn again. And but at the end, she learned different thing on the way and just have another courage to open the door to give life another chance.
Mm. And so did you do a lot of research, like talk about with people about what they feel, like the older people who like lived with the past and ask them?
Yeah, I feel like I don't have to because I have been living in this kind of circle already of the people from the past. And the thing is, I even receive also this kind of trauma from them. Let's say this kind of, I always call it this kind of passive aggression or this kind of hidden violence, not physical violence but emotional violence. Like
Mm,
it's just like they went through this kind of a period of time that all like that they didn't have enough freedom to even choose their partner, they to even choose the way of life. And I believe that they also transform those kind of power to suppress on me and also other kids. Like we didn't have much freedom to express our idea or to choose the one that we love. So I feel like, the trauma, it kind of overlap on each other like that.
mm. And was there any moment during the production that felt difficult, most difficult for you?
Yeah, of course, because this feature film was my first one, and also it was the first film that I had a team to work with. Because
Really?
before I was all the time like a documentary filmmaker. I always went somewhere with my microphone and camera shooting thing. Even my previous short film also further away, I was shooting alone because of the pandemic. But becoming human, like my producer Daniel Mate, he started to bring in the team, but he still tried to minimize the team to fit with my characters as the director.
Mm,
But still, it was like around 30 something, and for me, it's already like, oh my God, it's so overwhelmed. No, but I think the most difficult thing in the process of shooting the film that I was I had this kind of doubt about myself that, oh shit, can I do it or not? This is my first feature of him, and I'm going to work with the group. I don't know how to handle the kind of pressure of trying to understand everybody. But then I think on the way of the production, Daniel, he really took care of me. He took care of the team and the schedule. And I feel like the doubt that I always had for myself, it was almost like the lies that my mind kept reminding me. And at the end, I think my mind was just playing with me. It's not true. And at the end, I feel like, yeah, it's not that easy, but it's still I understood what does it mean, a sense of working together.
mm,
It was just, if I could say, the difficulty is that because we got the money from La Biennale College Cinema from Venice Film Festival, and they gave us a deadline to finish the film in order to premiere in Venice. So we had to kind of rush to do everything within like 9-10 months, including writing, pre-productions. So I think there was some kind of difficulty that during the production I had to rewrite something in the script, to because I started feel like, okay, it looks like this scene is not working during the production, so I had to rewriting all sometime, um, because I use a very like typical or particular costume for Tida, the main character, and there's only one costume of her that's sold in the market. No,
mm,
nobody made that costume anymore. So one time my producer said that, look, we need to do something. We might need to change her clothes on the way. So that's why I had to sit down and come up with the idea of writing this kind of small scene when there was a scene that she changed her skirt to just. So this kind of thing. But I enjoyed it. I love this kind of being flexible during the production.
oh, that's great. So the last question is like becoming human as a title sounds very poetic. So I wonder, what does it mean to you to become human?
I think becoming human, according to the film and according to my perspective, it's this kind of journey of learning about the past
Mm,
in order to understand the present time, and you dare to question about all of those negative emotions that happens to you, and then at the end, you chose to becoming, it's not a new person but becoming another version of you the next days by by embracing all the bad memory and good memory together. And for me, this pretty much means to be a human. And I feel like it's also being part of nature, because this is nature, according to the theory of the birth of the universe. They always experience the violence and gentleness together. And for me, probably it happens to our life also as human being, that things, shitty thing happens to our life, but the good thing is still happen to us. And probably to be a human for me is to embody this kind of resilience. And especially now they keep talking to people like the world now experiencing a lot of shitty things going on with shitty leaders and everything. And I feel like human being, we need this kind of capacity to be resilient in order to go through, to have to carry on hope. And I know that sometimes it's difficult to have hope when you're stuck in a situation, like some country that they are experience violence. So I just wish that we still find a reason for us to keep living and finding hope and becoming resilience.
wow. Thank you so much for that, and thank you so much for your
you.
time. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Hope to see you somewhere in a festival.
Yeah, hopefully.
Okay, enjoy your day in Poland.
Yeah,
It's
you
a little bit
too.
here.
Yeah, for me it's like
spring, spring is
warm.
coming. Is oh, yeah. Okay, I'm going to
Take
call
care.
you.
Yeah, I'm going to do another meeting, so yeah.
Hey.
Bye.